for WordHack. Make some noise with your hands and faces. Oh, man. The regulars know, even at the start of the stream, that scream that they have to make some noise with their hands and faces. And so they're getting started early. Love to hear it. Great to be here with all of you on this wonderful September evening here at WordHack at Wonderville. Welcome. I'm your host, Todd Anderson. I'm really excited to be here with you this evening. If this is your first time here at WordHack, or even if it's not, I'm going to describe the show anyway, just so you're clear on the expectations for this evening. So WordHack is a monthly show that we do here at Wonderville, now running for just over 11 years. So woo for WordHack. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a monthly show that is centered around ye old intersection of language and technology, famously one block down, but the real estate is still expensive. It is a monthly show where we have talks and presentations kind of around that idea of different ways words and computers can connect. And there's a lot of different people, especially when I started the show, but even more so now, of people come at that from different directions and different backgrounds. And I wanted to create a series where people that were thinking about these things, but maybe from different fields, could come meet each other and share ideas and be inspired by each other. Some of my background is in poetry, and then I found my way into doing a little bit of programming and doing some stage performance art type things. And that's kind of how, and so I wanted to be able to share this with all the people I knew from spoken word poetry and page poetry and that kind of thing. But then we also have people here who come from a background in programming and just really enjoyed playing with words, and code is just words, and it's really gratifying to play with language with code. And sometimes we have people here who have a background in games in different ways. Games can manipulate language or have an interesting dialogue system or a storytelling system. And then we'll have people who do installation art or different types of text-based art that are thinking about different ways a technology can help display text, or people making word games for websites or phones, or different fun ways you can explore a text in the new display mediums that we have. And a lot of times people that are interested in those things might not be able to easily find each other, or might just you're only with the other academics in studying computational linguistics. You're not going to meet a poet trying to make their first website, or the game makers are seeing the other game makers, but they're not meeting the people who have processed tens of thousands amounts of historical texts, looking to see how pronunciation shifts over time. And there's thesis is that there's cool ideas and connections and collaborations to be had if we create a space where we can talk about what we're into and get to know each other. So that's the goal of why we're here, and also just have a good time and learn a thing or two. I've got some amazing presentations for you this evening. We're going to be hearing from Kyle Booten, Claire Hentschker, and Matt Romein. Give it up for your featured presenters. And at the top of every WordHack, we have, as I mentioned, my background is in poetry, and a little bit of that heritage comes through here on our open projector, which is sort of like an open mic for digital stuff. When I first showed up in New York about 15 years ago now, I really did not know many people, and particularly did not know anyone who would want to put me on a stage. And I just really benefited a lot from the culture of poetry, of just having a space where you can walk up and put your name on a little piece of paper and get to read your little poem to a room full of people. And then after reading that poem, feel the crushing anguish of having exposed your soul to a room full of strangers, and then survive it with people through the rest of the night. And that's how you build connections. You build a little island to stand on in a difficult place to live. And we like to provide that opportunity here for people making digital work. It's often, I found especially in art spaces, people really do not want you to plug into their projector. They do not want to give you access to their sound system. They want you to put whatever it is on their Mac Mini. And we don't do that here. We invite you to come up to the stage and share whatever you've got, weird stuff you've got going on your laptop with the crowd. Please be nice. We have 5 presenters here on our open projector, and I'm really excited to get things started. Please give a warm welcome to our first open projector presenter, Parker.
So, all right, does this just plug in here, I suppose?
Oh, sorry, did not help you out at all. Yes.
What do we got?
If you have HDMI, you can just take this off.
Yeah, I do for sure.
You need sound?
Yes.
And this is sound.
All right. HDMI.
How's everybody doing? All right, I think we can just mirror displays. That feels easy peasy, huh? Do we I don't know where I'm looking though. Is this? Oh.
There we are. Yeah.
Okay. And I think it would be better if I move it this way. Yeah. All right, timing myself. Hi, everybody. My name is Parker Higgins, and the project I'm sharing today is called Philharmonics. I am a software developer and a crossword constructor. Let's hear it for crosswords. And this project, which is a collaboration with my friend who is a writer and also a crossword guy, Natan Last, combines those two areas of interest. So Philharmonics here is an online music machine that uses some of the same rules and aesthetics of crossword puzzles to control a sort of drum and melody loop. You can see how it starts here. We've got an 8x8 grid, and it's blank and numbered like a crossword. And you can start controlling it by adding black blocks. By convention in American crosswords, the grids are radially symmetrical, which means that they are, if you rotate it 180 degrees, is the same. So this mostly uses that rule. And then the other thing that this does is it numbers the grid, so it looks like a crossword the whole time you're doing it. And then it does also, I've added the option to skip the symmetry check. Okay, and then the other thing you can do is expand and contract too, and that has some fun effects on the radial symmetry. And then you can do some different size things. Okay, so, but this is, I promised a music machine, and let's hope that this plays. I should have checked that. Let's see what this does. It is not playing. Let's see. Imagine music was coming out of this. Okay. All right, so in this playback mode, you can see that each beat, it steps through like a column of the grid, and the blocks here correspond with like pentatonic notes, so just so that it always sounds good. One neat thing about that is that you can expand and contract the grid, and that changes both the lowest notes available and the length of like a measure. So you can go out to. You can do some fun halftime stuff there too. I made the max 16 so that it would have that property. And then you can also, because it's a crossword, you can add text to the grid. So there are some magic letters here, which is K and S and H. Do a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat. Do people want to suggest any words that have more than one of K and S and H? Kink shame. I like kink shame a lot. All right, so let's do kink shame here. I mean, let's put the word in. Let's not actually do it. All right, and then I'm going to let's add some more blocks a little bit here. Okay, so then if we play it here. And let's maybe add like we'll also do like a kicker here and like a hiss. So now we've got this grid and then yeah, I mean, it has that thing that I mentioned where you can do. All right, that's fun, right? And then, okay, there's a second playback mode, which is gonna look a little insane here. Oh, we got some, here, I'm gonna change we have different like drum sounds and some of them are a little less in your face. So the second playback mode is, so this is grid play mode. The second mode is word play mode, and that advances through each across entry. So it creates a polymetric, not a polyrhythmic effect. In this mode, additional letters are trigger a note on that row. And so you can see like this one is where my mouse is 4 long, and up here we've got one that's 3 long. So I can do, and you can hear the interplay between those. So it's just kind of a cool, fun thing. I have some examples here. It's a little intense. I have one of the examples that I had here in the some examples area. Oh no, I forgot to do that. Which we needn't. So anyway, it's all JavaScript. It works offline. And then I think, and that's time anyway. So anyway, that's Philharmonics. That's philharmonics.com. And once you've loaded it, it works offline. Thank you.
Let's give it up one more time for Parker for starting off the night. Really fun piece there. And yeah, oh, sorry, I didn't stay up front, but a 5-minute time slot, which newly this year I am now being a hard ass about. The open projector has started filling up, and I want to make sure we can keep having 6 slots. Cool. So I'm not being mean to you specifically. I am being mean in aggregate for positive community values. Coming up next, let's give a warm welcome to Henry.
For vamping while I plug in. Who here likes to write things? Yeah, all right. So I have a thing I've been working on. I will call it a collaborative experiment in nonlinear storytelling, and then we'll explain what that means in a second once the projector works. So basically what it is, you can think of it sort of like a, oh, it's already mirrored, nice. All right. You can think of it sort of like a choose-your-own-adventure book or like a visual novel where you've got branching paths, except instead of choosing the branches, they get kind of chosen for you at random. So in practice, that means you get just kind of one thread through this web of stories that could have been, so you can kind of explore things. And the way I've got it set up now is that you can just kind of branch off anybody's story at any point and take it in some other direction or in loops or whatever you want to do with it. So let's just go through a little example and we can do something with this. So here we've got a story, let's say. I don't know if we've got time to actually read all this, but we've got a little worker bee sleeping peacefully, dreaming about a horrible machine and stuff like that. Just pack a bunch of cliche metaphors in there. Bee wakes up at 7:30, gets out of bed at 7 o'clock, is out the door at 8 o'clock, gets on the train, an acrobat boards and swings around on the bars. They kick 2 people in the face. The bee gets to work, presses lots of buttons. The boss says that the bee is doing a good job, but could maybe press the buttons faster. And he presses some more buttons. And then the bee takes the train home. The train sits in the tunnel for 15 minutes. Static that might have been someone's speech plays over the speakers. And the bee gets home and scrolls and scrolls. A bill is put through Congress to make existing illegal. By 11, they drift to sleep. All right, and then at 6:30, the alarm rings. I 7 her out of bed. 8 they're out the door. Board the train. Someone sings a pop song the whole way. At work. Take the train home. Nothing happens. They scroll and scroll. Some people got blown up somewhere. 4 in the morning, they drift to sleep. And you can just see that it kind of goes in a loop. Because I've done it that way. So here's the audience participation section. How do we break this guy out of the loop? Any suggestions?
You could quit his job.
Quit the job? All right.
Stays on the train.
Stays on the train. We could do all of these. All right, let's go with who gets mad at his boss and quits his job. How about that? So we can add a new page after the work thing through some incomprehensible interface that I need to fix, but whatever, we won't talk about that. I don't know, what are we saying here? So the bee says he works fast enough and presses too many buttons. And then another little feature is you can do these quick little like random selections of different text to get some kind of like variance without having to make a whole new page. I don't know. They punch their boss in the face. They walk out angrily. No, I don't know. Sure. And we'll just post that. So that's in there now. So we can go back to the loop and see if we roll the 50-50. Oh, there you go. But anyway, yeah. So just kind of every time you refresh the page, it it does the random roll of which page you get next. So depending on chance, you get a different path. So maybe he breaks out of the loop this time. Maybe he goes back into the loop. So yeah, that's kind of the thing. If this is interesting to you, come talk to me. I want to kind of see where this can go and what this can do. Cool. And also, nobody's going to remember how the heck to spell the stupid name, so I'll send you a link or something. All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Henry. Very cool. Love to see a live story being told. Coming back to the open projector, it's Garen. Give it up for Garen.
No. And then it's just HDMI, regular. Yes, it is. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. You got Max Library in the chat.
Hell yeah. Hi, Max. I don't know who you are, but you're in there. There we go. There we go. Do. Got a long password. Password is too long. Screen. What do we got? Oh, that was quick. Great. Good. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. Oh, that's not what I'm showing. I'm just using this. I spoke to a mere child of 27 the other day, and he did not know what this website was, so I had to. You can all see in the back. Everybody's good. I'm assuming that's a yes. Great. Your lack of response. So I come to WordHack almost every month, and every month I see all these amazing presentations, these speakers, these open mics, and every month I'm like, damn, I have no ideas. I have absolutely no ideas to present. But that's not true. I have plenty of ideas. I just don't have time. So I gave myself a limit last month to just spit out as many ideas as I could. And I thought I was going to do like a funny thing, like, oh, let's do a poll and see what you guys want to see. Except the third one I haven't finished yet. It takes too long. And I think the second one I think is really good. But I think we can all agree after last week, we probably want something a little fucking funny. So we're going to go with something funny but brief. And just out of curiosity, who has read this book? Okay, I think everyone in this room should read this book. Kenneth Goldsmith started UbuWeb. He's a professor down in Pennsylvania somewhere. And his book, Uncreative Writing, is basically about how we are inundated with text in the world, right? We've got advertisements, street signs, publishing like books and magazines, and then of course the internet. And his basic premise is that we have so much content out there that we don't need to be creative. We can just take what's there and work with it. It's kind of like Duchamp and the toilet, right? If you just flip it upside down, it becomes something completely new. So some examples that he gives in this book are rewriting on the road from start to finish, writing down every front page of the New York Times and then binding that in a book, like boom, you've got art right there. And the example he gives, another example he gives, is this 1978 piece by Sarah Charlesworth. She took the covers of 45 different newspapers from around the world on one day, April 21st, 1978, and then she just cut out all the text, right? The day that she worked with, it featured a photo of the Italian Prime Minister, Aldo Moro, who was held in captivity by terrorists, and they released this photo to prove that he was alive. So here's the Italian newspaper, La Repubblica, boom, front and center, nothing else. New York Times, same day, they chose 3 photos, maybe a little one down in the corner of the Prime Minister. It's kind of important, but not that big a deal for New York. And then the Russian newspaper, no mention at all. They went with their own, media kind of plan. And so the questions are basically like, what does this tell us about local news versus international news? What does it tell us about editorial decisions? Like, how do different places value things? And so with that in mind, I have built a website called No Text News. I cut my thumb earlier, so I'm gonna have to, oh, it's actually not that bad. The side that I cut is still tabbable. And as you might imagine, it's notext.news, which also news is a TLD, amazing, the things they do these days. No Text News is literally the websites. Oh, the timestamps here are basically when they were last scraped. So every 15 minutes or so, I'm going out to these sites, grabbing them, and just stripping out all the text. Yeah, right. Look how nice this is. It's just a guy and a son, and I don't know. It's another guy. What's going on in The Guardian? Oh, it's a piece of shit. Look at that. Jimmy Kimmel, he's doing something. We got Le Monde. Like, I think this is Ursula Vandelion. I love when there's just lists and you have no concept of what they are. Der Spiegel. What is that? Just 2 people. Another piece of shit. More pieces of shit. Jeez, Der Spiegel. Such content. Okay, and Footballer is great. You get the idea. Here's Jimmy Kimmel again, apparently in Spanish, and El País, he's a big deal. In Japan, this guy's a big deal. Italy, back to Italy, we got football, some other things. You get the idea, right? Al Jazeera, yada, 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 yada. Now I might as well just go through the whole list. Here's the Korean news. And so, yeah, I don't know. This is one of those things that I was like, oh, this will be so easy to do, but it's actually not, because almost all of these sites are JavaScript driven, meaning the more you scroll, the more content gets loaded. Get out of here. We don't need that. So you end up having to, I ended up having to kind of launch a browser in the background that scrolled, that is not showing for some reason. Bum, 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 because this is hard-coded, because I was testing. Cool. So this just loads a browser in the background. You have to scroll all the way to the bottom to get all of the content after that, before the fold. And if that's not enough, friggin' websites like Der Spiegel just blast you with banners that you have to then click. Like, there's another one right there. At the end, it's gonna click that X, right? I had to write all this JavaScript to just like manually click things away. Up until 2 a.m. last night, that was gonna be everything I showed you. And then at 2 a.m., I was like, what would be fucking funny? Would be really funny? If I created something I call observation mode, which is, if I hit escape, tell me if this works, because I don't know if it's working. Is it working? Do you see text? Yeah. Oh, good. So basically, the text will only show if you're not looking at your screen, because the idea is, right? Like, I don't know what's going on in the world. I have no clue. There's food. There's, what is happening? I don't know. So it feels really, really great. I highly recommend it. Notext.news. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Garen. Big fan of observation mode. Also, mic is a little hot. We're getting some feedback in the room. Great. Love to see notext.news. Yeah, and to the beginning of Garen's point, it can work both ways. You can finish a project and then show it at Open Projector, or you can decide, I would like to show something at Open Projector. Oh, but I don't have a project, and then make a project. That is one of the goals. When I was doing open mics regularly, I wrote a lot more poetry, and having a place and an audience you can visualize presenting your work to, I find is a really great catalyst for actual art making. So if you don't have anything to show this month, think about maybe making something to show in the next month or two. It's fun and low stakes. It's a really, really soft, nice room. Y'all are great. Coming up next, we have a returning out-of-town WordHack celebrity. Give it up for Richard Lui Huang. Richard!
So that gives us some time. I do not want to mirror. Is there a way? Well, that's interesting. Yeah, let's. Or do you have like a USB-C one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We can just use this, right?
These skinny ones work a little better on
Great. All right. So, okay. Well, now my menu is in interesting position. Is it showing up? Oh, okay. You can't see my screen, but my screen is partially obstructed by my Apple menu, but I'll try to work from here. Give me just one more second. Okay. MacBook. Let's go back to the first slide. All right, so welcome everyone. My name is Richard Lui Huang. I'm currently a PhD candidate at the University of Washington. So I'm based in New York for this week. Just to announce two new things at WordHack about this project called Banner Depot 2000, which my collaborator Yufeng and I first presented at WordHack in 2023, the last WordHack of 2023. So two things to announce here. First, we are going to have a new version of the Banner Ad dataset and also the Banner Depot website to be released in a few weeks. There will be ads in new dimensions and also new languages. And also, more importantly, the database will contain coherence information about each appearance of each ad. So what do I mean by coherence? Let me give you an example. So this is a archive snapshot of everythingmac.com captured on the Wayback Machine in November 24th, 2002. So this banner ad, I don't know if you can see back over there, says new MacBook starts from $954. So this is banner ad, a banner on everythingmac.com. So at first sight, this may seem normal, right? But for those of you who are not that familiar with Apple's lineup of notebook computers, MacBook was first introduced by Apple in 2006. 2006, okay? So this ad could not have appeared on a web page in 2002 unless the government is hiding important information about time travel. And this is like a accidental clue on the Wayback Machine. So why is this ad here? one thing that I think people do need to pay attention, more attention to when using the Wayback Machine is that not all page elements on an archived web page, as it appears on the Wayback Machine, are captured at the same time as indicated on the timestamp on the Wayback Machine's user interface. And the Wayback Machine actually offers an easy way for us to see the time difference between the page capture time and also the capture times of all the on-page resources. So you can see this by clicking the About This page. This is not showing off really well here. There's a button called About This Capture on every archive web page that you visit on the Wayback Machine. You can click that button, and you'll be able to see the time delta of all the on-page resources against the capture date of the web page itself. So in this case, let me move my mouse here. The banner ad, the MacBook banner ad, is actually captured 15 years from the capture date of the web page itself. So the banner ad was captured in 2018, and the web page was captured in 2002. So now, a discrepancy in capture dates also does not necessarily indicate that a resource captured at a much later date on the web page itself did not actually appear on the captured web page in the past at the timestamp of the page's capture. So let me give you an example. So suppose on December 31st, 1999, there's a web page located at example.com/index.html. The web page features a banner ad located at example.com/ads/banner1.gif. Now, Wayback Machine captured the web page on this date, but not the banner ad itself. Over time, the web page itself is no longer accessible, but the banner ad image, for some reason, stayed on the server. And on September 17th, 2025, yesterday, the Wayback Machine somehow managed a capture of the banner ad image. So what you have is an archive snapshot of this web page with the web page captured 25 years ago and the banner ad captured yesterday. But in effect, this web page is still temporally coherent because the banner ad did not change over the 25 years. So how can we see if an embedded media on an archive web page did not change between the capture date of the web page and the capture date of itself? Luckily, the Wayback Machine actually saves the HTTP header of every web resource it captures, and it returns the header when you are requesting the resource from the Wayback Machine. So we so we scrape basically all these headers, and then we are able to calculate whether a banner ad image, whether an appearance of an banner ad image was actually temporally coherent with the archive web page itself. So this will be in the new version of the banner ad dataset. If you're interested, there's more information about this phenomenon. And the second thing that I'm going to announce here is the past internet directory. So this website is available at dir.pastinter.net. It is a directory of searchable directory of all the historical URLs that we have scraped from printed internet directory books, like the one that I have in my hand. It's formatted like a web directory websites of the past. So you have different categories, and you can also do a keyword search. So if I search for freeware, you'll be able to see all the URLs featured in printed internet directory books that talk about that offer freeware downloads. So for example, cnet.com, we can see the URL details, and we'll be able to see in which books included this URL. And the last thing that I want to show you is that this website is actually let's see if I can do the magic here. Built using old web authoring tools, so it is so we're able to. So if you are a vintage computer enthusiast, you can actually load this website on your like 1999 Dell box and browse old web pages. All right, that's it. I also have more banner stickers, so if you want them, come to me afterwards.
I get so many emails about the coherence update to Banner Depot. I don't know. I'm just so impressed at the level of data fidelity you have in that in that project. It is such an honest and pure data set. I love it so much. Coming up to the open projector, let's give a warm welcome to Sam L. Give it up for Sam.
Yeah. What was that? See the. Okay, cool. Let me test the audio. And okay, cool. Okay, cool. So, hopefully the audio works when we get to the audio part. I began this project with the goal of creating TV Simulator, a television with muscular human arms and legs capable of predicting the future to help me make difficult decisions. So far, we have observed that large language models keep getting better as we give them more training data, often following smooth power law curves. It has been hypothesized that this power law curve will never break, that we will approach perfect intelligence as we approach infinite data and infinite compute. It is not a far cry to go from this to imagining that infinite data and perfect intelligence will immediately give way to clairvoyance. In other words, if you know everything that has occurred in the past, you can predict the future. However, if we take upon the task of predicting the future with a limited budget, we need to leverage datasets that contain everything while still technically remaining finite. The Simpsons is well known for having this quality. I believe it is no coincidence that The Simpsons is also well known for predicting the future, from the spread of the Ebola virus to the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. People all around the world have been using TV Simulator to predict the future and answer their own difficult personal questions. And luckily for us, we have a few minutes left to ask him some questions of our own. So here's TV Simulator. You can see he's smoking a cigarette. And we can ask him any question we want to get a Simpsons clip that will correspond with the correct answer. So I'm going to start with a question that has been, well, hopefully the audio works, but I'm going to start with a question that's been troubling me for the past several minutes. How did my presentation go? Okay, cross your fingers. Oh, the audio didn't work. Yeah. What was that? Let's see.
Yeah, make sure it's not going through HDMI.
So a headphone port?
Yeah.
Cool. And then, output volume is at 0 for some reason. Okay, well, I think you will find that, well, you'll see. How did my presentation go?
And you know something? I've never had such a great audience.
Cool. Yes, I think if anyone has any questions, I have a couple more example questions, but if anyone has any questions for TV Simulator, I can ask them live. I'll start with a couple. So, what should I name my new puppy?
Tell you what, why don't we let the dog decide?
And I've got one more prepared. How long will I live?
You'll find out when you die.
Cool. So if you have any time left and anyone has any questions, we can ask them live otherwise. Okay.
When's the next Aurora Borealis?
When is the next... Oh, and this is going to be embarrassing. Aurora Borealis. Okay.
Aurora Borealis. At this time of year, at this time of day, in this part of the country, localized entirely within your kitchen.
Regular slash says. Merch? Oh yeah, wait, also if you want any free TV Simulator merch, I've got, you can come speak to me after.
You could have done that entire project without giving the TV arms, and I really appreciate the extra step. Awesome. We have one final open projector presenter. You may remember him from last month's feature film, Start Me Up. Please give it up for Nick Montfort.
All right, so thank you, Todd. This is maybe the least technologically advanced, not just because it's a book, but also because of the computing technology that's involved. It's actually not work of mine. So I am involved with editing this book series called Hard Copy. The first book in the series, we had a great book launch for that. It was Output, an anthology of computer-generated text, 1953 to 2023, starting with Christopher Strachey's Love Letter Generator, ending with Banner Poetry 2000. That was the first book in the series, Hard Copy. The third book in the series, Hard Copy, is coming out in 5 days, I think, 4 days, on the 23rd. And that you heard about because it was almost complete a year ago. Daniel Timken came to present his work on that. 44 SOLangs is his book. It's the grapefruit of programming languages. Really, it's an incredible book. I have my author copy, but there is a book in the series in between those two. And speaking of Fluxus, it is the complete Stein poems by Jackson McLough. Early member of Fluxus, downtown poet performer, somebody influential to Namjoon Paik and Ginsberg and Kathy Acker, and inventor of this, what he called a diastic method or mesostic method of composition. So the complete Stein poems, using Gertrude Stein's work as their corpus. This is a project, in fact, the only large project of his that he did on his own with his own computer at home. And this is the final, almost certainly will be the final book publication posthumously of his work. There have been many of these, but this is the last great work of his. I'm going to read one of the poems, and this is Stein 9. I think I can manage it without those. Stein 9, begin a piece of the whole. You know, actually the process note comes at the end, but by the time you got to this point in the book, you'll have read a lot of these process notes, or at least skimmed over them. So I'm going to start with a process note. 16 verse-line sentences derived from Stein's LGB, long gay book, ASR page 240 to 41, a Stein reader. I sent the source text and a seed text, paragraph 9 of the source text, through Diastech 5. That's Charles O. Hartman's program. I revised the program's output by inserting or deleting a few function words, changing some word orders, tenses, and suffixes within lines, and replacing lowercase initial letters of sentences with capitals. I inserted a period at the end of each verse line and sentence and placed 1, 2, or 4 line spaces between the verse lines in accordance with line groupings in the output. New York, 10 through 11th May 1998, 15th through 16th January 2001. Begin a piece of the whole. Begin big, singing, not asking. If every preceder bites a piece, the whole piece still is eaten. Happy, peculiar people may refuse refining any time. Refusing certain regular materials, they're choosing necessity. Every piece of a whole precedes all pieces. Little lengths of eaten rhubarb ask for dearest light and cloth. That hearer began refusing learning a little lighting. Refined matter, there comes singing of long red pears. Refuse refusal, pleasant refusal, and sing. Enough thick talking, sing of whole puddings. At the beginning, every little seat is there. Then materialize no more days, as there are no more. No fish will follow procedures. All follow pressure. Which preceder filled with merriment cooked the beginning? Ask the little father to begin. Every preceder bites a piece of the whole. Thank you. I want to mention one last thing about this book, which I think is a very nice book production. It's also open access. So thanks to MIT Direct Access Grant, you can go and read it freely online.
Thank you, Nick. And yeah, we shout out to Daniel Temkin's SO-Langs. Also, if you are ever in the neighborhood of the Museum of the Moving Image, our friend Daniel Temkin has an amazing Dither Studies projection up in the lobby. So if you're looking for an excuse to go up there, definitely go check it out. Let's give it up for everyone on our open projector. I also would like to shout out our lovely audience of live stream viewers watching on twitch.tv/WondervilleNYC. If you ever can't make it to WordHack, you can still watch online. And shout out to our friend Yufeng, who's joining from the chat and says, "Yo, Richard, sorry couldn't finish it by today. Hate this domain so much. Sorry, Richard. Bye, Richard." So Yufeng supports you and is really happy you're here. Also, shout out to Max Library, Matt Griffin, and Herebox. Yeah, thanks for being with us. We're ready to move into our first featured presenter here. Really excited to bring Kyle Booten back to the WordHack stage. Kyle is a writer, programmer, professor, has an exciting new book called Gyms, in which he has created a series of algorithmic word gyms for straining the writer's muscles. He'll tell you more about it. Give it up for Kyle Booten.
Yeah, I didn't make the poster, but I had to hold that pose for a really long time so that they could draw me. this slide. Good, yeah. This world is passing away along with its desires. Hunger and the broad pampa in which we graze it are falling away into an even flatter zone along with our wish to want, along with that low flavor. This world is passing away along with its desires. Along with its prestigious cups, with its elegant manner of pouring them, our helike is floating away. This world is passing away along with its desires. Prayer and gender is what we can't see at the bottom. This world is done begging, no longer cares if it be mother or father behind the begging scrim. This world is passing away along with its desires. Make this smaller. No. I just wish this could be a little more reflective of the tension between organization and consciousness. This world is passing away, along with desire's many airtight storehouses, letting air and light in to thresh that honeycomb. Hunger and the broad pampa in which we graze it are falling away into an even flatter zone, along with our wish to want, along with that low flavor. Though we suffer hunger and its broad pampa, they are falling even splatter zone, tandem gripping our wish to want, tandem gripping that low eros. Hunger and the broad pampa in which we graze it are falling away into an even flatter zone, along with our wish to want, along with that low flavor. Hunger, who leaves something in the bowl, and the biodynamic pampa on which we graze her are Icarusing down upon an even leaner zone, alongside our dry humping on hope, alongside any low flavor or flavor's remainder. This world is done begging, no longer cares if it be mother or father behind the begging scrim. This world is done begging one side to save it from the other's history, no longer cares if it be mother or father behind the wool blanket that kept you warm when you were not yet weaned and which you should have inherited. And I'll pause just to thank Todd for this great invitation. Everyone who knows Todd's work knows that he's one of the most athletic people in the way that he approaches what we do here. So I feel like you're one of the people who inspires me to hit the gym, and I'm so glad to also get to read and perform and share this space with Matt and Claire and everyone else. Thank you so much. Oh. I also have some copies. I have like 4 copies that if you want to try to acquire a copy, there are 4 of them, I think. I tried to break a leaf apart by dropping it from way up high. I failed. Would it have worked better against some other type, some pine or other brittle acrogymnosperm? Many attempts from increasing tower could not get the macrophyll to shatter, or it would have been just as vivid in me. Splat. I blame also the leaf's white wax, the slightest gambesons, no doubt, but perhaps enough to pad. Isn't it almost amazing how they protect themselves in so many ways? The leaf's hesitance to be destroyed by me must be an ancient trait, one shared by many other phyla, to wit, I could not kick that cloud to death, though I struck firm neck shots, and I could not starve even one idea by not saying its words. I'm thinking now it might be time to try more subtle forms of evil. Could I convince the gamophytes to cling to their virginity and so throw error to their auto-fucking loop? Could I, with false but baleful stories of how much it sucks to grow into a sporophyte, spook the leaf primordia to stay coiled in their nubs of promise? I really want the better of them. I really want the honest right to laugh at them. And others like them. The things that laugh at me the most are, I have marked often, palmate. I hate how such leaves have it both ways, always pretending to have arms and legs when it's convenient. But then, when I catch them and accuse them of playing animal, they, meek as Pamela, protest. No, no, good sir, you are mistaken. I am no animal. My symmetry is merely radial. I have no forward will against you, no forward will at all. Meanwhile, they reach still further while I am sleeping or my back is turned at a speed I cannot perceive. Clever. And their chloroplasts have banked up almost all my light and left me sufficient only in waddling spasms. Cruel. I'm coming for you, Onoclea sensibilis. I'm coming for you, Juglans regia. I'm coming for you, Monstera Deliciosa. I'm coming for you. I will ruin you, Chimedoria elegans. I'm coming for you, Maranta lucanura. My wrath will terminate upon you, Epipremnum aureum. I'm coming for you, Ficus elastica. Verdant expansion. Jenny Beck. Bosky expansion was more representational, about 60% representational, 30% abstract. A small copse halfway through meiosis into convex hull, 60% of the time, or for 60% of viewers, or from 60% of angles, obviously, trees. Verdant is only 15% representational. Cucumber, laurel, anemone, crown. Because the former, so gloomy and tuberous, has the trick where if you pick it up, the bottom comes off and it shows you a sneaky coral butt. Umbrageous. The two jaws of a flytrap, the two lobes of an engine block, but one slightly in front of and tilted against the other, tubes, 3 from one side, 2 from the other, seem like delivery pumpules into the ground or table or plinth or whatever, totally flush. So it really does look like they are going in, continuing down. Impressive. An undomesticated Bluetooth speaker with 30-ish aloe ridge rows and 3 chubby feet, gyring itself contentedly, like purring. A wadded-up frog dipped in frog smoother. Vertigo-inducing gradient. Deep green within the 2 circular vents, accelerating to body light lime, then lime white towards bottom as well as near the maxima of the bigger bumps. Smallest piece in the series. You.
Thank you so much, Kyle. Really cool book and series of experiments. If there are some aspiring word gym enthusiasts, Kyle has a couple of copies of books, and it's also available from Asterism Books. If you look up Jim's Asterism or Jim's Kyle Booten, you'll be able to find a place to get it. We have arrived at our famous WordHack mid-show break, but don't go far. We have 2 presentations from Claire Hentschker and Matt Romein on the other side of this break. We're going to take 13 minutes, so go get a drink, go to the bathroom, hang out, and we'll see you in 13. really been keeping track, so I can't rightly say. I'm going to start the show in about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. So that sounds about right. So this can be like the segment of the show where you're all being very polite and respectful. I usually like come up here and kind of vamp with the knowledge that only like a third of the people in the room can hear me, and I just kind of like weave in some little jokes and say some kind of stupid little things. And everyone's like, oh, I'm coming back from the bathroom, let me give me a drink. Oh, let me finish this conversation. But you're all like ready for some more content, which maybe makes me worry that the break went on too long. But I'm just going to segue. No vamping for this crowd. Whoa. Just only pure grade A content for you. Really welcome to the second half. Really excited to have you all here. Yes, please stream back in, and we've got some seats up in the front. I'm sure people intend to sit in them, so maybe like don't steal them yet. But if you were sitting in them, sit in them now, lest that they be stolen from you. Really excited to welcome back to the WordHack stage our good friend Claire Hentschker. Claire is an amazing artist, bedazzler, an incredible event and party thrower, and a true enthusiast for one of the original iconic sites of language and technology meeting, which is SkyMall magazine. Really excited to have Claire joining us this evening. Give it up for Claire Hentschker.
I'm so happy to be back here on the WordHack stage. I've only graced WordHack stage previously as part of our collective LARPA, which we're a Bushwick-based artist rented. Maddie is part of our... Guys, I have to be really honest with you, which is that I chipped a molar today and had to go to the dentist, and they filled it, and half of my mouth is numb, and I'm on significant pain medication. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to the topic I'm so excited to talk to you guys about today, which is the craft potential of curated collections. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and I'm sort of in the true spirit of the event, hacking this together for the first time, so bear with me. But I think if I was to describe my interests, they're all along this line of the sort of craft potential of singular collections. Specifically, I'd like to start with the curated micro-library that was found in airplane seatback pockets on domestic and international flights on, I think, mostly American Airlines, because I've talked to some international folks who didn't have the experience of experiencing SkyMall magazine. But if you're familiar with this, and I'm actually curious, do you know what SkyMall magazine is? Raise your hand. Okay, yeah, let's hear for SkyMall magazine. Also, I'm curious, like, who has a kind of a specific personal connection with SkyMall magazine? Like, you didn't just look at it, you were like, that I developed some sort of perspective on how the world was going to turn out because of SkyMall, and maybe it didn't come true. SkyMall was one of 3 things in the seatback pocket, including the safety card and a vomit bag. And I think all these 3 things came together to tell us something very reassuring, that there was protocol if something bad happens. You know, you have a bag you can get sick in, you have a safety card you can look to, and you have an entire future at your fingertips told through the images and the text of SkyMall, aimed towards the very lucky people currently flying over the ocean. So my brother and I were obsessed with SkyMall, and we spent the whole flight flipping through the pages, always delighted by the absurd and hilarious offerings and inventions it contained. It would also give me extreme motion sickness, so I would also inevitably throw up in the bag that was behind the SkyMall, but that's okay because I'm a human, and I think I was never really meant to be in a machine over the sky. But I recently found myself unexpectedly trying to do a different type of machine thing, this time on the ground as part of a job that I was hired for. And in this particular job, I was tasked with looking through hundreds and thousands of AI-generated images in a continuous feed as trying to evaluate them. And this was also sort of a nauseating experience, much like flying in an airplane would be. And I was very reminded of Everest Pipkin's brilliant essay on lacework, in which they described this project. Yeah, shout out to Everest Pipkin, who is here, and I didn't expect to be here, and now I'm a little nervous to talk about this. So Everest, tell me if this is a valid synthesis of the idea, but essentially describing the human act of moving forward through sort of machine-scale data sets, frame by frame, as a human, until patterns and themes start to emerge and show. And I think that the sort of implicit path for a lot of AI, specifically like image generation systems, is about creating an image by creating every image possible and then sorting them into good images, which theoretically makes sense, but I think when you're a human who's sort of in the sorting loop of that experience is a sort of specific kind of dizziness. And it reminds me of getting sort of explained to me the infinite monkey theorem that says like a hypothetical monkey randomly hitting keys on a keyboard will inevitably end up writing Shakespeare. And I feel like when people said that, I'm like, okay, statistically that makes sense, but I think I never considered how many drafts and how much paper would be created in the process of that, and like who has to wade through all of that to find like Romeo and Juliet, and who's asking for that, and let the monkeys go home maybe. And so I guess I'm kind of skeptical of AI image generation systems that claim they can make any image imagined, because if that were the case, do you guys ever use Midjourney? Shout out to Midjourney. I think it's like a super cool tool and genuinely like offering something interesting into the universe. But if the thing it was offering was like any image imaginable, wouldn't Midjourney's feed look like a cross section of every image ever, like a collage? But instead, it kind of looks unmistakably like AI generated images, and there's sort of an average texture and a fingerprint that gets stuck to the surface of all of them in the same way. And maybe as a one-off, you don't recognize it as AI, but when you see them as a lump, you're like, oh yeah, that's a pile of something I recognize. And they all have sort of like come from a shared universe, if you will. So my brother and I, when we would be on an airplane, our favorite game to play with SkyMall was a game we invented called Which Would You Rather Eat, in which you had to justify the pros and cons of two objects. So, for example, he was really good at this game because he would be like, okay, well, wood technically is more digestible than metal. We're choosing like a smaller object to let you sort of consume more of it. And so like this ad space became this playground for our imagination. And we're really thinking about, for some reason, how to digest all this information very literally. And I think someone might argue that the sort of creator of SkyMall magazine, an entrepreneur who actually later became a 3-term Republican state senator for the state of Arizona, sort of was micro-targeting airline passengers with a very singular vision of a good life. And it included, you have like a Labrador who needs his posture corrected. Maybe you have a swimming pool, you have a grill, you know, you're in your garage, you have your dog, you have all this counter space that you need all these appliances to put on. And you're thinking about this while you're in the clouds because your life is perfect and tech is like a cool thing that could only make your life better. For example, maybe you have all of the images you're ever gonna need, and for only $49.95, you'll never need art again. And this is kind of a utopia that was very capturing to me at that time. And something that I really, like looking back at these now, think about is that these solutions all sort of wrap themselves around physical space. So they sit in rooms, they sit on bodies, almost like cosmetics or lacquer for surfaces. They promise perfection through the far side of an ad. And this sort of, there's infinite ways of being, in that the same way there's infinite images, but SkyMall is gonna pick the really good ways of being for you. For example, you can breathe easy. You never have to have corns again. And so I've been trying to buy SkyMall magazines on eBay recently, but I guess this is predictable, they're almost impossible to find. You could take them for free from your seat back pocket, but then they stopped getting made, and now they're unbelievably scarce. And so I've been successful in buying 3 copies of SkyMall on eBay in the last like 6 months. And so when they show up on my door, I feel almost like I'm visiting a childhood room or like something very familiar, and I remember it. But it's like not quite the same size or scale as I thought it was, and the things that seemed really funny at the time, you're like, oh, like maybe that's not so funny. And the like ad copy is like, oh, you know, like track your spouse, like work from your car, like brew coffee in your sleep. Like, I don't remember that part. And so I'm an artist, and I've been trying to think about like what to do with this sort of pile of magazines. I have lots of piles of stuff in my house, and so I've been making sculptures from SkyMall magazine and taking objects that I really love. So this is the Ultra Finder. This is a handheld GPS navigation system, pre-cell phone, from I want to say like a 1994 SkyMall magazine, kind of a rare magazine. And I was picking sort of objects and ads that I found to be very interesting, and then taking them into Comfy UI, which has a bunch of different interesting models you can run locally on your computer, including one that will take a 2D image and make it into 3D. And what's interesting about these AI models is that any sort of shadows or outlines it's finding in the image, it will assume depth from. So if you sort of doodle onto the two-dimensional image, you can essentially edit a future 3D model, and rather than like open it in Blender, you can edit a 3D model in Photoshop, which felt kind of like a funny futuristic way of doing something, and reminded me of being a kid and like using the pen your parents were going to use to fill out a customs or an immigration form and doodle on an image. Anyway, so I got really excited about a couple of these ads and started doodling on them and changing the 3D model to be something more akin to what I was interested in. And then, thanks to my boyfriend, 3D printed them on his printer. And not only was I printing the objects themselves, but also anything else that was in the ad. So here you can see this is like the real 3D hand from the authentic Sky Mall ad being translated into a real 3D print on a real 3D printer. And then I took them and recolored them by hand to make them sort of fancier and goopier and closer to my memory of the products that they were. And all of this is done with cosmetics. So this is all nail polish and eyeshadow and rhinestones and like a super glossy top coat that you'll also put on your nails so they don't get damaged, which kind of reminds me of the glossy magazine spreads of Sky Mall. So this is the Ultra Finder. Each of these rhinestones is hand put on. And lastly, on top of the surface of all of the objects I recreated, I started clipping these Sky Mall claims that really stuck with me. So taking the memories of these shapes, but also like the promises that this magazine made. For example, everyone who's ever taken a shower has had a great idea. This is such a generous idea. Or like something a little darker, the passenger seat is now your office, which I actually am not sure if it's come true yet, but speaks to like a terrible sort of like autonomous vehicle future where you're not just working from home, you're working from car. And I heard like Waymo is coming to New York, and so I'm sort of worried about that. The king of all docking stations, was an iPod holder for toilet paper that I thought was really like a fantastic, beautiful object, you know. Why do we call it the king? Because it's the only docking station made specifically for the throne room. This is a pot-up hot dog cooker that lets you enjoy hot dogs in minutes. I think honestly, most systems let you enjoy hot dogs in minutes. I think they're pre-cooked, but this system let you warm the hot dogs with the buns, and I think that was like a pretty fascinating. I remember this, my brother and I would fight over who got to put this in our which would you rather eat, because it comes with the hot dogs, and so I feel like I had to 3D print and decorate this one as well. And this also really speaks to me as someone who frequently drops and cracks their phone. This was a flip phone wrist brace. So imagine you're like a Spider-Man-ing open your fist phone and it flies out. This is going to stop that from happening, and I thought that was a really beautiful idea of a future where we didn't want you to bring your phone. A couple other sort of like alarm clock, bedside, CD player, and then there was always like a lot of like foot stuff in Sky Mall. It was just like a lot of like foot bath and corn holders and like toe wraps, and I feel like that as a kid I found that kind of like disturbing, but maybe like in a way that I was kind of intrigued by. And so this all came together in a little show recently that I was part of in Red Hook, and I think it was like a very sort of fun way of tying all this thinking together. And unfortunately, Sky Mall met its demise in 2015 in the sort of like pivot to video era, where literally the seatback pivoted to video. They replaced Sky Mall with seatback screens, and it kind of makes sense because like why would you voluntarily look at ads when you could have infinite content instead? And a sort of funny bonus for the airlines was that they were actually paying a ton of fuel to haul like really heavy stacks of magazines back and forth across locations, which is really strange to think about now. But even myself, when I think about my experience flying, has sort of pivoted to video, if you will, in that I try to remove as much context around me as possible. I'm definitely no longer soothed by some sort of imagined future and dog and house, but I use my phone to inhabit the sort of beautiful null space that it offers, the contextless void around the screen, and noise canceling my way into the sort of nothing, so I don't have to talk to the person next to me, sort of into the infinity of my streaming service. And even the ads I encounter now are not necessarily this juxtaposition of text and image that I can like save and cut up and make collages with, or maybe like a face on TikTok talking to me, or products blended so seamlessly into my content I barely recognize it as an ad. This was an ad for Delta I saw recently, which I thought was really interesting because I think there's like 3 different technologies going on for this person to not have to think about the fact they're on a Delta flight. And I don't know why they would advertise that, but he seems happy, I guess. Another stack of magazines I've had my hands on that I think is a really sort of interesting snapshot of imagined futures is Wired magazine. So if Sky Mall promised like 2000s gadget utopia, sort of sci-fi, Wired is like the complete opposite, like preachy dystopia about how this like invisible tech is going to threaten our security and autonomy and reality. They're not like wrong, but there's something about the tone that is kind of like, I don't know, kind of maybe cringe in the way that it's written a little bit. And it's no longer speaking to this like tangible technology I'm going to put on my kitchen counter or in my CPAP pocket. It's like in the cloud, and it has an invisible hand, and it's going to cause my life to be torn open and 90 million iPhone suicides. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. That seems terrible. Just like things, just like the things that are the gadgets I care about are being shot with a bullet in slow motion. And like this pile of Wired magazines has this encoded inside of it a very sort of specific cultural perspective that's kind of earnest, but also very anxious, and makes excellent collage fodder, as did Sky Mall. So speaking of gadgets, about, I think it's 7 years ago now, I was gifted a laminator for my birthday. So like it's like no bigger than a loaf of bread. And Maddie Varner and I, who's here, started hosting these events called Lamb Jams that are going on to their 8th year. And the premise of a Lamb Jam, if you have not yet attended, is that you take laminators. At this point, there's like 12 laminators in rotation of hardcore Lamb Jammers. We go to a bar, you bring your stack of magazines, and so whatever piles you've accumulated in your own life. And so I bring a lot of Wired magazines and scissors, and then it's like the best way to make collages on the fly. And by the end of the night, everybody at the bar is laminating together, and you can take this sort of terrible copy of a dystopia and turn it into a collage, sort of entomb it in plastic, if you will. This is an example of a laminator and the joy on someone's face after laminating. Oh, here, I think I can hit play on this. Kelly Anderson is a papercraft artist who is also a Lamb Jam enthusiast and created a sort of like advanced, weaving paper system that then got laminated into. And again, like the really joyful thing about this is by the end of the night, everybody is involved, even if we're like, who are you guys and what are you doing? This is nice. So that's kind of like a process shot to the final laminated output, but it takes the sort of charged language of Wired magazine and its genuinely grim turn of events that tech has taken over the last decade, and turns it into fodder for image making and community and humor. And I think that at least I've extracted some more value from that than I did from just reading Wired magazine. So I'm going to read you some great laminates. Someone recently described them as analog memes, and I was like, I think you're really onto something here. It's not just the fake meat. It won't get easier from here. Be wary, unbridled, perma-enjoyment is not this. Warning, the orientation towards efficiency becomes a turnoff. Not a damaged, swarming robot. American male. I don't know if you can see these are getting cut off. I'm just reading these. I think this is really nice. Apps forget. I think Maddie made this one. Motion crisis. I can't move the cubicle. I'm broken. I think this one needs no introduction. Warning, how I could give way to the rise of tyranny. So it does really seem like AI images are sort of going to try for the infinite, and this future that we're hurtling towards, at least right now, is not going to get off track. But sort of thinking a lot about Everest's writing and the different sort of people who I look to, I kind of wonder about this idea of lacework and like how can it get turned into an arts and crafts activity? Can sorting and compiling and creating categories thin down the fire hose of output we encounter? And can creating specificity through intentional piles, things we set aside, or examples for how we want to think about things, So what if artists or sort of caretakers of weird collections or purveyors of specific piles in their apartment, what if you suddenly had something extremely valuable on your hands? So there's these giant companies and these giant sort of systems that need to be tamed by specificity. And I was sort of joking about this with some friends, like, well, it feels like the obvious critique to say, what if AI image generation systems take the jobs of artists? But I was like, well, what if it actually makes art so valuable? Like anything that's not already in their system, now suddenly you can move the needle on what this generation can produce. And so I started this project called Small Batch, a dataset farmers market. And the premise of this was, what if we rethought about our digital collections instead of, collage or piles in your apartment, but instead it's like you're like a small batch artisanal Brooklyn content creator. Like you have organic data sets that sit outside of these giant big box systems that just sort of output the lowest common denominator image. And this suddenly becomes a place for buying and selling artisanal data, heirloom archives, hand-picked text-to-image training, ethically or unethically sourced, but always locally scraped data sets. And I put this on Instagram with like very little, this was the only thing that I wrote with no context. And I'm very proud to say that like over 100 people have been involved in vending their small batch data. It needed no introduction, and there's so many great data sets that people were selling, but some of them include Sarah Rothberg's first-person GoPro apartment cleaning videos. Just to clarify, that means that she had been wearing a GoPro cleaning her apartment prior to this project existing, and was like, finally, something I can do with this pile of footage I have. All of New York City's one-way signs, 4 years worth of photography of different car wheels, every Dilbert digitized before Dilbert was canceled and taken offline, which actually now you can't, I think the creator of Dilbert was, but you can't get these online anymore. FOIA government data sets by also the person who found out that the Epstein footage from prison was edited, so that's a small batch journalist, and more. Here, Sarah Rothberg even offered to hand label data sets, a sort of tiny machine LARP, maybe like a micro lace work for fun. We had lots of different things for sale. A historical archive of Mark Zuckerberg's haircuts, scratch-off cards that resembled Metro cards that you could use to access data sets of one-way signs for each borough. All of the text in New York, all of the outfits in Vogue separated by color. Anyway, this is all to say that I think there's a lot to be said for weird collections because you can do arts and crafts with them and you can make things, and that's fundamentally human, even if you're sort of mimicking a machine scale process. And I think that's something we're all going to encounter more these days. And so if you're interested in strange events or arts and crafts or LARPing machine futures, come to, oh wait, that's kind of cut off. Wait, maybe I can move it over. Come to LARPA-Mill. Come to our studio. We took a brief hiatus from events this summer because we don't have an air conditioner, but we're back on this fall about a show about flat rats in New York. And thanks so much for having me, and this has been really lovely, and I love WordHack, and thanks, guys. Yeah.
Yeah, on that slide, 2 Instagram handles to follow: larpa.mil, larpa.mill, and then Claire's handle, NTSCHK, the condensed block of consonants of the center of her last name. That was so amazing. Thank you, Claire. Much to think about and consider, and a hopeful SkyMall-flavored vision of the future, as always. We've got one final presentation for us. Cool. I'm glad you're talking to each other, but I'm trying to run a show up here. Okay. Thank you. Great. We have one final presenter here. Thank you all for sticking around. I've got a final presenter. Really excited to be joined by Matt Romein. Matt is someone who I have been in the orbit of for many years in the presenting a weird performance off of a laptop in a little room with a lot of projectors scene, and really happy to have become good friends with him over the past couple of years. Matt is an amazing digital theater performer. You'll see an exciting example of what that is this evening. Please give a warm welcome to Matt Romein.
Hey everybody, we're actually going to bring the screen down, so those of you in the front row, this is going to be like watching a movie in the front row where your necks are going to hurt by the end of this. But so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a video game. The video game is called Milkman Zero, and after I play that game, I'll give a little bit of talk about it. And I don't need the microphone while I'm playing the game, so we can just mute it. Let me just set this all up really quick. All right, cool. There we go. And I'm just going to pull up my notes here and put it in the corner where no one can see it. All right. Hey, y'all. That was a performance I made called Milkman Zero. My name's Matt Romein. I'm an artist that works with theater and performance and code and installation. And I studied acting in undergrad, and then I got into coding and did a lot of video design for theater, and then kind of got back into theater in about 2020, and I've made a series of performances that typically use video games and the language of video games as kind of some kind of performative or some kind of, I guess, live theater. But the trick for me usually is all the video games are fake, and they can't be played by other people. So for this one, I was using Touch Designer. I'm sure some of you are familiar with it, but it's like a node-based programming language for installations. And it's using HTML and JavaScript, and it's rendering web pages that make up the game. Oren Shoham helped me with this, who I think he's here tonight, but shout out to Oren for kind of helping me with the web-based part of this. I'm not going to spend too much on the technical thing, but basically then it's also sending all the audio cues to QLab, which is a pretty standard audio playback system for theater. So basically this is something I've been working on for about 4 months, made the engine for it, and I've been developing a script for it. And I recently got a grant to present it in 2026. So in September 2026, I'm going to do a 60-minute version of this performance at the Brick Theater in Williamsburg. And I'm not sure that all of it is going to be just this text-based format. There might be some other video games. There might be a monologue at the beginning of it. And the inspiration for the project was actually another performance I made called Bag of Worms. Bag of Worms was a motion capture based theater project I made with Julia Mouncy and Peter Mills-Weiss. And it's all about me playing a video game in which I basically just torture my friends. I project them into a video game I made with motion capture suits, and then I proceed to kill Peter over and over in the most horrific ways I can think of, in kind of like a sketch comedy kind of format. I'll show you a clip from that just so you have the context.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this going. Coca-Cola execution. Peter, come on up here.
Okay.
Peter, I'm going to have you play the role of Coca-Cola.
Okay.
Check it out, Peter.
Cool.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah?
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right, focus, Peter.
Sorry.
Peter, you have been charged with crime. How do you plead?
Well, not guilty.
You have been found guilty.
What?
You'll be executed at dawn.
Okay.
It's dawn.
Shit.
Julia, I'm going to have you play the role of the executioner. Here's your executioner's axe. You may approach Peter. Peter, do you have any last words?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
When you're ready, Julia. So basically, we made that it was a 40-minute performance. I wrote a script for it that's about 70 minutes. And as the show goes on, Peter keeps wanting to try his idea. And I finally let him explain his idea. And he has the idea for a video game about a milkman. And it's the most boring, generic, just door to door. You get coins when you do the job right. You open up a map and you can see where people need milk. And we were going to have Milkman Zero be the end of the show, where it was going to get to a point where it's a bit convoluted, but he gets a letter from me, and I say, Peter, I was so inspired by your idea. I actually built this video game. I'd be honored if you played it. And he would sit down and play this video game, and except it would be the most horrific and corrupted version of his idea, rendered only in text. I did not find the institution that would present the full-length version. So if any of you have a performing arts institution with a motion capture studio equipped inside of it, I've got a great performance project for you. But until then, we realized that we really liked working on it just kind of as a solo project, and just exploring it as its own thing. So yeah, when I started working on this, I think what was most interesting for me is I didn't grow up playing text-based video games. I knew of them, and I'll be curious afterwards if anyone wants to talk about it, if you all grew up actually playing the games. I had more just a memory of what they were like, or just kind of an intuition of what they looked like. And I started to play Zork as research, which is one of the quintessential first text-based video games, and immediately just stopped because I found it boring and convoluted and just not with current video game design methodologies. So I just built it in a little bit of what would be the most performative, what would be the easiest to watch as a theater audience, and then just let myself imagine what those games would be like. After I made this first 10-minute version, I did come across a really great text called 50 Years of Text Games, and I ordered a copy of it. There's an online PDF and a series of blog posts as well, but it chronicles, I think, almost from 1971 to 2021, one text video game that came out each of those years, and kind of does a deep dive into it. And especially from the 90s to now, what people are doing with text games and interactive fiction is really mind-blowing, especially as it becomes kind of obsolete, for lack of, not objectively, but they're not the hot draw of video games anymore. So what is it that keeps people in that space? So I've been reading that to kind of get some inspiration. I really recommend checking it out if you have any interest in text-based video games at all. I also, if you know Junji Ito, he's a manga artist that writes horror manga. He published a memoir where he had the most basic, simple life, but he talks about where he finds fear from, and then basically just writes a list of his rules for writing horror. And I found that really inspiring and really interesting to kind of work with. And then lastly, there's been a growing amount of different mediums exploring video games that don't exist. One of the most prominent ones is called Vermis. I think or Vermis, I'm not quite sure which it is, but it's published by Hollow Press, which is an Italian comics publisher, and it's by an artist named Plastaboo. I don't know what their actual name is, but that's just their online moniker. And it is kind of like a Nintendo Power video game guide for a video game that doesn't exist. But what's really smart about it and interesting is when you read it, it reads almost kind of like a sequential narrative. Like it almost imagines in a way that, you know, if you ever read like The Legend of Zelda, like Majora's Mask, like the guide, it kind of takes you through it sequentially as if you were playing the game. And when you read this book, it feels like you're following, like creating a character and encountering these different enemies. And if any of you have ever played the video game Dark Souls, which I'm a huge fan of, like it's a very, like you never quite know what's coming next. It doesn't explain anything to you. There's just like deep lore that kind of hangs over the top of the whole experience. And this whole kind of book and comic genre has become really popular in the last few years. I also discovered, there's like a great video essay on it called The Greatest Fantasy Game Never Made. And there's also, jumping ahead a little bit, there's someone who did a 2-hour essay kind of on the entire like genre of these books. I also found out about Petscop. Does anyone, raise your hand if you know Petscop? Okay, that, I did not know about this. Like someone told me about this. This was like a deep YouTube, Reddit lore thing where someone just started uploading videos of what looks like a very well-designed original PlayStation 1 game about collecting pets at a hospital. And there's a kind of like narrator that just talks while over playing the game, but you don't see his image or anything. It's not like a Let's Play with like a Twitch streamer. It's kind of just like him narrating, playing this game that his friend found in like a basement or something. I'll play a little, just a
signs along the way that I ignored because it would have been a completely ridiculous idea to me. But when I found my room, it made, well, I was shocked at first, but it made sense, especially considering where I found the game in the first place.
So anyway, I recommend watching on your own time. It's about 24 hours long. It was, it's uploaded in a series of almost like 26 or 27 videos over the course of, I think 7 years. And people did not know who was releasing these videos. And it is utterly terrifying, like not in any like jump scare kind of way, but just kind of where did this come from and where is this going and what is this sense of dread that I kind of feel of what might happen next. And the long stretches of 20 minutes where nothing really happens, but you feel compelled to keep watching. So those have been my main inspirations. And then lastly, this isn't really so much an inspiration, but it's been fun to work on a text-based video game in the moment that we're all using LLMs and Claude and ChatGPT. And it's been interesting how much my own interactions with these kind of chatbot AI systems, you can go back almost like 40, 50 years, and it was a similar kind of interface of communicating with the computer. And this like semblance that I kind of understood what you were doing, that there was like a sentience behind it. And the book goes into a lot of like descriptions of how people coded these systems to make it feel like there was some kind of sentience behind it. Anyway, I've talked long enough. Thank you so much for coming to WordHack. Thank you so much, Todd, for hosting all of us, and Wonderville. And yeah, hope to come back sometime. Have a good night. I'll let Todd take us out, though.
Thank you so much, Matt. And yeah, really, I love that genre of like diegetic fake video game. I used to teach a course on alternate reality games, and there's like a lot of overlap between an alternate reality game around like a fictional video game that may or may not exist, but like the world of someone discovering that is so fun to explore, and you really capture that feeling in Milkman Zero. This has been WordHack, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We are here the third Thursday of every month here at Wonderville, and if you were inspired by what you saw tonight, yes, you can show something at the open projector, or give a little talk, a little 5-minute talk about something you care about. It doesn't have to be your own work. You can give we have very few of those that happen, but if you'd be inspired to talk about something in this general sphere of language and technology that you care about, that's very welcome as well. So yeah, our next show, let me make sure I have the date right. In October, I believe it'll be, is it the 16th? Yeah, October 16th. We're going to have Sam Levine and Tiga Brain, who some of you might know, and then one or two other folks in TBD. But yeah, really grateful to all of our presenters this evening. Again, that was Kyle Booten with his new book, Gyms. Claire Hentschker. Claire, is your show still up? Oh, okay. Can't send people there anymore. But what day was the Lamb Jam you posted? Follow larpa.mil to hear about Claire's Lamb Jam. And coming September 2026, the Brick Theater, 60 minutes of Milkman Zero from Matt Romein. Gonna be exciting. Yeah, what a cool room full of people. I hope you all hang out and get to know each other a little better, and stick around here and come back next month and every month. We have a email newsletter where I send out just when the next WordHack is, and a recording of the previous one. That's on the event page if you want to get on there. I am now getting social and emotional cues that I've been talking for too long, so I'm going to stop talking right now. This has been really fun. I know you love me, and I love you.